Hello to all you hip skips out there.
And welcome to The Jungle. Join Disney historian David Dr. Skipper Marley and art director and crooner Trevor Kelly as these former jungle skips explore the world of Disney, pop culture, and theme parks. But hold on tight, because just like a jungle cruise, their conversations often head deep into uncharted waters. Now, grab a seat and enjoy Expedition 15, weird cast memberships, Stroller Sociopaths, and the real history behind Splash Mountain. Move it up, Skips.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm all right.
Good.
Just, I think I've recovered from Tiki Oasis.
Yeah.
That was a rough couple of days afterwards.
That was fun. Have you touched booze since?
Yes, I have. In fact, I'm about to touch booze after this.
I still haven't.
Good for you. As usual. Actually, I do have one thing, but we can get to it.
But should we start with the Disney one?
I think we should try.
Okay. All right. This is a fun one. I've been excited to ask you this question.
Okay.
What is the weirdest random job you did at Disney?
The weirdest?
Like not at Jungle Cruise, not at Big Thunder. Like they said, hey, come. Like you got a special shift where you did just weird things.
I think the only one I can remember that was weird, and it wasn't even weird, it was just easy, was that Adventureland got rented out, and I got that special shift to work jungle for these rich, company party thing, and they had rented out Adventureland, so they had Indy and they had jungle, which means no one was at jungle. We were just waiting in line for Indy. So that was an easy night. That was great.
That a private, you can rent out just a land.
I guess so. They rented out just Adventureland, and it's great.
That is so cool.
They had a bar set up in the middle of Adventureland. It was great stuff.
What about company? That probably like Enron, probably some horrible company that
Right.
then went belly up years
Absolutely.
later. That is so cool. I've never heard of a land being rented out.
Really?
Before.
Yeah,
never.
Neither had I.
Never ever.
I know, and you probably would know way more about this than I would. So over the years, celebrities have rented out the park for private events, right?
Yeah.
Didn't like Michael Jackson rent out the park and release a bunch of chimps in it or something?
I think they just forced him to rent it out to be there. They're not too many loose children around. Mariah,
if you want to visit, you have to shut down the
you got to shut down the whole.
I'll just build my own then.
That was an exact audio recording. Didn't Mariah Carey get married there one of the times she got married? I think so.
Oh, wow.
I think so. I was never there for any of those kinds of
I
big
never
events.
got to be there for that either.
No, I was just thinking about the most random ass job day I ever had was the first time I worked at the park in the 90s before I went to grad school was a grad night shift.
Okay.
And they had us do crowd control outside.
Of the park?
Yeah, like out in front of the gate.
Oh my gosh.
And they were like, oh, here, grab these like barricades. And they had us go to the back and they were heavier than hell. And I just refused. They're like, each one person can carry one. And I'm pretty strong. They're heavier than hell.
Yeah.
So like they were trying to carry them by twos. They're like, no, everybody can carry one. And they looked at me and I said, I'm not getting paid to carry heavy metal things. And I just refused. I said,
fair.
No, not, this is not carrying these big ass things. Not my job.
Yeah.
That's not why I'm here.
Were they mad or?
No, the lead could have literally carried less. And so and it was me and the guy I got trained with at Jungle Cruise. I don't remember his name, but we both had just been trained. So we were just worthless to the world. And because we were all excited to be skippers, but then, low man on the totem pole, you get stuck with a grad night shift, crowd control grad night.
Oh.
So they set up, so the parking lot's still the parking lots before DCA was built. And so they had these long lines of all these buses would pull up and they'd basically funnel them into this long line with those barricades on either side.
Yeah.
And our job was to let them go in groups of like 30 to the front gate.
Oh, wow.
So they'd hold them up and they had already like inspected them and everything. And so we're like, all right, the next 30, we'd count them out and let them go the front gate. And so it was taking a while, as you might imagine. And this one night, the students started to yell and scream and complain. And we watched a whole bunch of them knock down the barricades and just start running for the front gate. Hundreds of kids. And the group that we had, I'm like, don't move, just watch, don't move. And like they wanted to run, I'm like, don't move. And my whole group stayed. And before any of the kids even got to the front gate, every front gate slammed, like bam, 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 bam. And security came and scooped all the kids up and marched them all the way to the back of the line. And I said, if those are your friends, you will see them later this evening, much later this evening. And then I escorted my group of 30 to the front. Good job, guys. Good job on waiting.
There you go.
And they did. They made them all go to the back of this very long line.
Good.
Yeah, stupid kids.
I know. Good start to the rest of their lives.
Right? And then the weird thing was they kept putting us on break. Oh, ready for your break? And we're like, sure. So we went on a break for like 20 minutes and we're hanging out. I think like Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln was just for us. And they had like food and drinks, and that was like the break area. And so we took more break time than we did work time because we came back. We'd been back like maybe 10 minutes at our shift. The guy goes, hey, have you been on your break yet? My buddy goes, nope. He's like, okay, well, go ahead. So we went back on another 20-minute break.
That's great.
So we spent a lot of time. But what a weird Disney job to have.
But to make it not as enjoyable, they would run the Lincoln speech the entire time you were on your break.
Exactly. You had to stand at attention and salute the president when he came in. He gets very testy about that.
Did you ever notice, because I big fan of David Koenig's Mouse Tales.
Yes.
Where they go over the grad night debauchery that occurs.
Yes.
I always heard that the kids are always sneaking booze in and everything.
Yeah.
Before the park closes.
Watched a kid do it.
Really?
The little, I don't know what that is. Oh, I guess they tore it out now. But the little like waiting area by Jungle Cruise that was all kind of Arabic tile and stuff was really pretty. We watched a kid. I was standing by two leads. We're in the shipping office at the exit of Jungle Cruise. This teenager, first of all, like when somebody wants to say like a really racist joke, they turn their head and swivel around. The kid walked up like that, like looking around all suspicious.
Oh, God.
So the three of us are just watching him. I think one of the leads goes, watch this kid. And he walks up and he's looking around, doesn't notice we're like 20 feet off to his right, but he's looking around, and he pulls a bottle out of a jacket and just sticks it in a planter. And then like moves the bushes back and walks away. And he hadn't finished walking out of the area before the lead walks over, just grabs the bottle and puts it back in our shipping office.
Was it good booze or was it like teenager booze?
At the time I wasn't drinking a lot. It was evidently very bad, nasty teenager booze.
That seems right.
But I knew like in the 60s, they would check every toilet. Like when the toilets had the tanks in them, the old school toilets like in your house.
Yeah.
They would check them because kids would go there and stick booze in there.
Wow.
And Disney would go, if they take a bottle of booze out, they'd stick a bottle of Coke in there instead. Because that's what you want when you're hiding vodka there. You want to see a bottle of Coke later on.
That's right.
That would in no way fill you with rage. With your glass bottle, you can now break and
now they'd never do that because that's giving away free product.
Exactly. Yeah. But now they have mix-ins for grad nights.
Oh, it's not all night?
No, you spend some time at Disneyland and then you go over to DCA, but for a lot of the night, you're mixed in with regular guests.
Oh.
Like when we were there, shut the park down, clear it out, clean it up, bring in the high school kids. And so I had a former student of mine that worked at DCA, and they busted an adult, which is the first clue he should have been in trouble, at this grad night, and he had a bunch of pills with him that he was selling to kids.
Oh my gosh.
So he figured, I'll go to Disneyland and make some money selling drugs to high school kids, and I'll never get caught. What are the odds Disney's going to catch an adult hanging suspiciously around teenagers?
Right. That man, Bob Chapek. A young Bob Chapek.
A young Bob Chapek. Like, what an idiot. So like, yeah, they caught him pretty quick. He had a lot of pills on him.
Oh my God.
Like, what are you? I think he's taken the drugs, which explains maybe some of his life choices.
Yeah.
But there was a very random day where I'm like, I'm in charge of like hundreds of kids at Disneyland. I'm not even in the park. It was just weird. It was a very weird night.
I wish I had gotten to do more special shift things, but it was quickly established. Minimize my time in the park.
Did you work? You were gone by the time the Pirates movie premiered, right? When was that?
I was
2004?
gone. Yeah.
Okay.
I was 1 to 2.
Because most of the west side of the park was closed off, but Adventureland was open.
Oh wow!
But nobody. It was the best 8-hour shift I ever had. Nobody came into Jungle Cruise. Like it was just like empty. But the park was like beyond capacity. They had the red carpet all the way down Main Street.
Yeah.
And Johnny Depp was there and everybody. And there was nobody coming to Jungle Cruise. I'm like, this is the best day ever. And at the end of it, they said, hey, there's food for you guys. So over by what's now Star Wars Land, where the Festival of Fools.
Oh, yeah.
They had all this food for us, but they had to keep the lights off because the premiere. So we're sitting there eating in the pitch black dark. And like before everybody had cell phones. So they had like little flashlights to show you where your food was.
Yeah.
And we're just sitting in the dark eating. And this manager that I never liked, who eventually got fired, he and I never jived. I went into the Adventureland office and he was on the phone yelling about how badly his cast members are being treated.
Oh, wow.
And they're sitting in the dark like a bunch of animals. And I'm like, well, good for him. Like, it was the first decent thing I'd ever seen him do. I'm like, what a good guy. He was actually mad.
Yeah.
And then they like apologized to us. I'm like, what? You fed me. Disney's never fed me before or after.
That's fine.
Feed me in the pitch black. Fine. That's where I was trying to convince a friend to steal a canoe.
Oh.
And just sit in front of the whole viewing stand and watch the Pirates of the Caribbean movie.
Oh, that'd be rad.
Yeah, I was trying to get our former trainer Kaz to do it with me. She's like, "We'll get fired." I said, "I know, and ittle be spectacular."
Yeah, that's a good way to go out.
They're not going to chase us during the movie. They're just going to make us. They're just going to wait till it's over. Because we'll make a scene. I can tell you that.
That's right. They just turn on the Phantasmic fire.
Yeah, right.
We'll smoke them out.
Yep. They're not shutting the premiere down because two idiots in a canoe.
Right. I think when Pirates happened, me and Joey were already in Utah doing sports play-by-play and entertainment for the minor league team. Because I remember going that summer to see Pirates in the theater, and nobody knew it was going to be good.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, well, I got nothing else to do. I might as well see what this heap of garbage is. And then immediately it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Not so much with the Jungle Cruise movie, but, you know.
We have to do an episode where I explain my hatred for that movie on every level possible. Like, from the writing to the casting to the direct, every single choice was a bad choice.
Yeah.
I feel.
We'll set aside a good 2 hours.
But I don't want to make you watch it. I feel bad that you haven't seen it.
In fact, it's probably better that I haven't watched it. You just explain it to me and I'll go like, are you messing with me? Is this a joke?
But I would want your perspective.
Okay, I'll watch it.
On it. We could watch it together. We could live stream us watching it.
Oh, that'd be fun.
In our thorough disgust. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a fun idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I should tell everybody this. We hopefully will have keep your fingers crossed. We may have some good news about doing a live taping of The Jungle.
That's right.
This summer. So we will let you know as soon as we have concrete details.
It's going to be, it sounded very positive and it's going to be fantastic if it pans out.
Yeah.
What were we talking?
Random Disney jobs.
Disney jobs
weren't like, here, run this attraction, or here, work this parade. It was like, I got a really weird job for you to do today. It was like that kind of. So the Jungle Cruise one, I just was a skipper all day, and then they just marched us over to. I did have a friend when I was an area greeter. You had little earpieces, with a radio, and she didn't have a radio, but she found an earpiece and stuck it in her ear so she could walk back by where the VIPs were.
Oh, awesome.
Just shoved it in her back pocket. And people let her walk right through because she's got an earpiece on.
That's the trick back in the day. And I'm sure it's still slightly true elsewhere. Disneyland really taught me, if you walk with confidence into a location,
oh, hell yeah,
you're in.
Done.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I learned that from Disney and Malcolm X.
Oh, that's right.
I did, right? Malcolm X story. There was a time where we had chairs at the back by where we parked the boat storage, and there'd be chairs where we'd sit and have a break, and then they decided you can't sit there anymore. And they kept taking the chairs. We just stole them from Coke Corner. And so they would just take them back at night, and I would keep bringing them back. And so one day I decided we need to get chairs from so far away they won't take them back. So one day I was done teaching at Cal State Fullerton. I was in my full suit. I go to the park specifically just to steal chairs from Disneyland. I grab another skipper and I said, come with me, you're on a break. And so I put my name tag in. I was wearing a suit, name tag on, my little year pin. So people say, all you can see is it's gold. You can't tell how many years. This is one. And, and we're walking through the park right at closing. And we went all the way up to some restaurant in Toontown with their very specific chairs. And we each grabbed two and just walked right down past Small World, past Matterhorn. And I remember there were some guys, I guess the park was closing by then because there were guys cleaning areas, and they're like, "Good evening, sir. Good evening." And they both like stood up all like,
"Oh, wow."
Because a guy in a suit was walking by. And I'm like, but they'd clearly been there much longer than I had been. Like, they're like experienced, like maintenance guys.
Wow.
And I'm like, "Hi guys." And I just kept walking with chairs, me and the other skipper. And those chairs stayed there the rest of the summer.
Oh my gosh.
I think they thought, where the hell did these chairs come from? Why are there Toontown chairs? Because I figured if it was too much of a hassle for them to return them, they wouldn't.
Yeah.
And they didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did they just disappeared one day?
Oh, by the time when I left, they were still there.
Oh, wow.
They were there that whole summer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But one of my favorite stories, to reference our friend Kaz again, she was leaning in her chair smoking right next to a sign that said no smoking in the boat storage area. And she's reading a newspaper and it said no smoking, no, like you can't hang here, but it said someone had written skipper's exempt. And she goes, I was reading the paper. This is in Skipper Stories. She said, I'm reading the paper and a person goes, excuse me, excuse me, you can't sit there. She's like, I didn't even look up. I just tapped the sign that said Skipper's exempt. And I kept reading. Just and I was smoking. And then the guy goes, excuse me, ma'am. And I looked up and it was the fire marshal doing an inspection of Disneyland.
Oh, no.
She goes, so I basically, with a cigarette in my hand in front of the no smoking area, was tapping on a sign saying Skipper's exempt.
Excuse me, idiot.
Who the hell do you think you are? The fire marshal? Oh, good deed.
Oh,
All right. Well,
sorry.
then there. Yeah.
I'll see myself out.
She was trainer of the year.
That reminds me of, speaking of relocating things around the park, reminded me, and I don't know if you ever had trouble with this, where you'd have to like be working guest control. This is a guest control heavy month.
It is. It is.
In the podcast, but it just reminded me of old skipper Saul. We were around Toontown. So our cast member Saul, who was a skipper, fantastic skipper, we were on a guest control shift, and he would routinely, if people were rude about strollers, he would just relocate their stroller to a very far location.
I've done that.
And that was it.
I've done that.
Have you?
I've done that. Yeah.
It seems I never got to do it. I took great, immense satisfaction watching him do it, but I would imagine doing it yourself must feel really good.
Yeah. We were in front of, it was a parade shift in front of Small World. So I was dressed in lederhosen or whatever thing I was wearing. And we're moving strollers, area, and this family comes and just parks it right kind of in the middle of this walkway. And the dad looks at me and goes, this better be here when I get back.
Wow.
And then we bought it just as rude as possible. And he's kind of marched away with his family. We watched him just go on Small World, and as soon as the boat left, I went, somebody want to take care of that stroller? And some other guy goes, got it. And I just watched him run it down into Toontown and it just disappeared. But we were there like when because the strollers were kind of stacked, and people would come back like, oh, I need my stroller. I'm like, oh, which one is it? So we would move them and help them.
Yeah.
But just better be here when we get back. I'm just going to park it wherever the hell I want in a walkway, and you better not touch it.
What is he thinking? Oh, I showed them.
I guess that's what he thought, but good luck finding that thing. And then when I came back as a parent, I was so polite. I'm like, oh, please don't hide my stroller near Toontown.
I would, if I were bringing a stroller to Disneyland, and also, good God, murder me if I ever am in a situation where I'm bringing a stroller into Disneyland.
Okay.
That was legally binding right there. You're not finding that thing, right? If the last frame of reference is I'm an ass and I parked it in front of Small World, and now it's not there. No. Where are you going to go?
You can pick yours out pretty quick.
Can you?
Yeah. If you know what it is. And let me just say this. And I know I try to be very open-minded about people and politics and religion, whatever your thing is. But here's something I firmly believe it.
Okay.
You cannot. There are two types of people in the world.
Yes.
There are the people that buy the single stroller. If you have two kids that have like the strollers where they sit, front and back. Mm-hmm. Those are the good people. Evil people will buy the double wide stroller. Like if you buy a double wide stroller, you hate mankind and everyone. I had a friend who was going to buy one, and I said, trust me, I used to work at Disneyland. You do not want to have a double wide. Week later, my wife really wanted the double wide. And he goes, those things, you can't put those on like, those are hard to get over curbs. Those are hard to go down the sidewalk. I'm like, why do you think I told you that?
Yeah.
You have more experience on strollers working at Disneyland than most regular humans.
Completely agree. Double wide strollers, only sociopaths push those around Disneyland.
Exactly.
It's a battering ram.
It is.
With small children at the front of it.
It is. And they're like, well, they don't want to, it's unfair to make one. So what? Once, we would switch it up.
Yeah.
One was the baby. She didn't know. She sat in the back. She didn't know.
You know what? They aren't going to remember being pushed on that stroller. So who cares?
Exactly.
I don't have memories from 2 months ago, let alone when I was 5.
That was because of Tiki Oasis.
Oh, that's right.
Why. Arizona Tiki Oasis does that.
That's right.
I remember being told we had fun at Undertow in Phoenix.
That's right. And it's our fault. We went to the Roofalin room party.
That's on us.
It sounded fun
at the time. Then I got sleepy. I woke up in the parking lot.
That's right.
Without my wallet.
It's a good time.
Yeah. I was going to say, at Undertow, our bartender, she was amazing, made fantastic drinks.
Yes.
Less than 24 hours later, won the bartender battle.
That's right.
At Arizona Tiki Oasis. I'm not saying we're the reason she won, but I'm not saying we're not.
Look, did she win before?
I don't think so. No.
There you go.
Was that extra? skipperness that
That's
helped
right.
her.
It was us sitting next, less than, that's right. Us as white privileged males sitting less than 5 feet away from this lovely female. That's why she won.
Who didn't stop moving the entire time we were there.
I was getting tired just being within
Yes.
proximity to her.
Yeah.
The kind of intense bartending that was going on with the shaking and whatnot.
Yeah.
I'd have noodle arms by the end of that.
Yeah.
It's crazy. She could probably punch a hole through a horse if she wanted to.
That is the best phrase ever.
Punch a hole through a horse.
I'm going to steal that. Make that into a t-shirt. Yeah. They are very well skilled, and our livers were quite happy for it.
I was thrilled to bits we got to check out Undertow. I didn't know what to expect, but their menu was fantastic, and getting to have a Coconut Grove cooler, which I never knew existed, was great. Was for those of you that don't know, Coconut Grove, fantastic old nightclub from the golden age of Los Angeles, like 20s to 30s, I want to say, through the 40s maybe even.
Yeah.
And that was the place to be, and apparently I would have enjoyed the booze there, which made me very happy.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it when they have the old classic recipes from like the 20s and 30s that they've been able to
minus the cocaine.
Well, speak for yourself. I like a little bump every now
Just
and
a
then.
little sprinkle instead of nutmeg.
nutmeg.
Substitute nutmeg for cocaine.
Sprinkle
It's
of
pretty much
cocaine.
the same recipe.
Sprinkle of Coke. Just kind of keeps you on your toes. Yeah.
That's right.
Helps you work in the mines.
It's a dance club.
It is, right?
Got to dance.
Right? A lot. Very fiercely dance.
That's right.
Yeah.
And this actually leads me into my rant, if you don't mind.
Oh, please, rant away.
Got to live a childhood dream where we finally got to ride a self-driving car. I've been wanting to ride in a self-driving car since like Popular Science as a kid. It's a little dome ones zipping down the highway. I will say,
Broken
Waymo,
personality.
aces.
That was so great.
That was the best ride share experience I've ever had.
Yeah, we had two sketchy ones, one good one, and then you really wanted to ride. So we're watching these driverless cars go around Phoenix, and Trevor's like, I really want to go in one. And I'm like, sure. Not till much later I realized that could have been dangerous, but I didn't care at the time. I'm like, Trevor wants to do it. I want to. Let's give it a shot.
Yeah.
And it was fun. You open the door and it says, "Hello, Trevor."
Yeah.
And it has your name on the screen, and I really enjoyed it.
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
A little edgy at first when you're watching it go like through
Yes.
like not a 4-way stop. And
Yes.
You're like, well, here's where the T-bone happens. And
Yeah, we had the stop sign no one else did, and it had a little screen where you could watch what the car essentially sees.
Yes.
It's radar. And I remember thinking, oh, you could blindfold me and I could drive a car 5 miles an hour based on this information.
Right?
There'd be a lot of honking and people swearing at me, but
And here's the deal. Here's my thing on it.
okay.
It was fantastic
Yes.
to be a part of.
Yes.
And when people go, because the second you post about it or you mention it, it's a 50-50 split, it seems. Half
Yeah.
the people are like, oh, cool. And the other half are like, nope.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, here's the deal. After riding through some of our rideshare drivers who were clearly drunk.
Wow. Yeah. The one guy's, I've been driving for 10 hours. I'm so exhausted.
Yeah, I don't
I'm
need
like,
to hear
why? Why did you pick us up
that.
then?
Right? Go home.
Yeah. After he blew through a stop sign and just decided to make a right-hand turn.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
So between that and every old person on the road,
Mm-hmm.
those self-driving cars, they have massive computers in the back of them.
Yeah.
They have radar on every corner of the car. They have a row of cameras on top of the car.
Yeah.
And grandma, it's as if you said, get in this self-driving car. It only has 2 cameras. They're a little blurry. And the computer, it's an old like Windows Intel machine from 1995.
That has crashed.
That's right. You think grandma's a better driver than this car?
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah, yeah. And it drove very well. Although I thought, would I drive this to downtown LA? Hell no. It's on the freeway? We saw one on the freeway.
We saw one on the freeway.
It was booking along.
Yeah.
Going to its little area. It got charged up for the day. And I were thinking, no.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, eventually, yes. But right now, I'd do it because I'm dumb, but
Yeah.
I'd be nervous the whole time.
Here's the deal. You're going on a ride share, you're already rolling that dice. I'll trust
True.
a computer that has nothing better to do except for not kill me, because if it does, then it's done.
Yeah.
Whereas, Johnny Monster Drink on the 12 hours of his shift.
Yeah.
I don't trust that guy.
Yeah.
And we clearly were in a hoarder car, one of the first ones.
Yeah, he had a lot of stuff. He had a lot of paperwork and things in that car with him. That was an overpowering, too much.
That was a smell.
Yeah, he brought in too many like air fresheners.
Yeah.
And the whole thing just was overpoweringly air freshening.
There's a certain precipice where the air fresheners won't battle the funk.
And that's where we were.
Yeah.
Remember, we were both thinking, man, if we smell like this when we get out of the car.
If there was a chart, that's where they would converge. Yeah. Do you have anything you want?
I do. I got one.
Let's do it.
It's a weird history rant. If you want that.
Always down for a history rant.
Okay. Yes. At the end of here at the end of May, they're going to be closing Splash Mountain in Disneyland.
Are they?
Yes. It's already closed and being taken apart in Florida.
Okay.
Because for some reason they still like to do everything at Florida first, and then we get the leftovers, or when they figure out how to fix it, then they come over here.
Yeah.
So they're closing at the end of the month. I know people are going to, like, the lines for it are going to be crazy and nuts, and people will be saving the water and selling it on eBay and whatnot. Because that's what you want, is that water.
Yeah.
Right? And I thought, I'm excited. Princess and the Frog, which you've seen, right? You've never seen.
I've never seen it.
Never seen it. One of Disney's very, very best.
That's all I hear.
I put it like number one is for me is Beauty and the Beast.
Okay.
Number two is Princess and the Frog.
Princess and the Frog.
And then Tangled. Like those three are just amazing.
I've seen Beauty and the Beast. Never seen Tangled. Oh my God. Never seen Princess and the Frog.
And you have Disney Plus.
I do have Disney Plus. Yeah.
We gotta watch those.
Tangled, I'm assuming, is that the BDSM one?
No, that's Strangled.
Oh,
no, but they're changing it, and some people are excited and some people are very upset. There's an artist we know that keeps showing posters of the old version because he's clearly very upset that they're changing it. But I thought they're doing it to be racially sensitive, and my master's degree is in African American history, and when I teach in my U.S. history classes about slavery, I would show pictures of Splash Mountain and the statue specifically, which they'll take down now, of Brer Bear and Brer Fox, and then Brer Rabbit, like on his shoulder. And I would say, do you know these are actual real slave stories? And that's what I think that's what Disney's losing when they change the Splash Mountain, which I'm excited about because I love Princess and the Frog. But Princess and the Frog, not a real story.
Yeah.
But the Brer Rabbit stories they were written down by a white man who at the time was as popular a writer as Mark Twain.
Really?
Even though nobody really knows, his name's not that popular anymore. But he took stories from slaves and from freedmen after the Civil War and collected their stories. But the Brer Bear, Brer Rabbit, Brer Fox were all ways that slaves would use to talk about their masters.
Oh.
With the master around. Like, it was a way for you to communicate about people, like how we had nicknames for people at the Jungle Cruise, right? The manager who was the enemy of fun, and the other one we called Poof. And that was a popular story at Arizona Tiki.
It was. That played well.
So that was a way to talk about it. So like Brer Bear represents the slave driver, the big dumb guy that would like whip the slaves and beat everybody up. And Brer Fox was the master who was always trying to find people to get him in trouble.
Okay.
And Brer Rabbit was the slave.
Oh, wow.
And so these were stories that slaves would tell each other where you would talk about your day, but it was just you telling a story about Brer Fox and Brer Rabbit. And if a white person heard you, they wouldn't know what you were saying. So these were slave stories and real slave culture. And it's like a real piece of American history. And that's why I think Walt Disney liked it. I think that's why the Walt Disney Company liked it. Because it's real, true American stories, real based from real, actual African slaves.
Yeah.
And we're getting rid of it. And now here's this fake story about, a woman who became a frog. And a fake country. But it's to me, it's missing some fun history. And what I think is funny is a lot of conservatives are all upset about it. And I said, yeah, if you knew what the Brer Rabbit stories were really about, you may not be thrilled because they're not, spoiler alert, not pro-slavery. Because the thing is, Brer Rabbit has to survive through his wits and intelligence because the other two animals are bigger and stronger. Yeah. So he just has to outsmart them, which is the whole story. And
so these stories, so there was the book. Now, did the book inspire the movie Song of the South?
Yeah, they just took, is it Joel Chandler Harris? That might be the name of the author. Because I did when I was teaching at university, we had a whole special. I had a friend come in that was really into the movie Song of the South. I have a bootleg copy of it.
Oh, really?
It's from Japan. So when he starts to sing, Japanese appears at the bottom.
Oh,
so
wow.
Zippity Doo-Dah suddenly appears in Japanese. I think it's a fun movie. They tried to awkwardly make it post-slavery, but you really couldn't tell unless they told you Like you wouldn't have figured out these people weren't slaves.
Yeah.
But it's the 1870s, so the Civil War had barely been over. But the stories were real slave culture. It's real evidence. And what's funny is I had read about them in grad school. I was taking these advanced classes on African American history, and we learned all about Bear and Bear Fox, and these are real things that slaves relied on. And on a side note, the first time I applied for Disneyland, when they would bring you in groups of 3, and stop me if I've told this story before.
Okay.
They ask you, maybe I did tell this story before. They ask what your favorite Disney character was. And the guy next to me, swear to God, said Snoopy. Swear to God, he said Snoopy. And I'm like, oh, we're never going to.
They're just escorted out
Yeah,
immediately.
he was. Well, they asked him, why'd you leave your last job? He's, well, it was at Knott's, and my managers kept screwing me around.
Oh,
I'm like, oh my God, you're so nut. They're never going to hire you here. At Disney. Oh, they're screwing you around. Oh, here, come to Disney. We'll never do that. And the guy's writing, and he goes, look, and the other guy says Mickey Mouse or something super safe and lame. And he's the guy behind the desk just scribbling away. He's like, okay, what are yours? I said, well, I have 2. One is Belle, because it reminds me of my girlfriend. And the second one is Brer Bear, is my absolute favorite. And he stops and he puts the pencil down. And he goes, Brer Bear? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, tell me about Brer Bear. So I explained to him his history and how it relates to slave culture, this whole thing. And he went, huh. And he just kept scribbling again. And I'm
Too smart to work here.
But I just remember he just stopped, put his pencil down. Tell me about Brer Bear. And I'm like, oh, wow. He's challenging me, but not the Snoopy guy.
That's right. Snoopy guy's already dead to him. He doesn't care.
He is the Mickey Mouse. All right. I'm going to put this guy somewhere stupid. He said Mickey Mouse. This jerk trying to show off saying Brer Bear. But he used to walk around the park and everything when I was a kid, and I thought he was hysterical. But anyway, so that's what Disney's missing, is some real African-American history. That being said, I am very excited for the new changes. I think it's going to be fantastic and fun, and I can't wait. And if you've not seen Princess and the Frog, go watch the movie, Trevor.
I'll see it eventually.
Okay.
That's my superpower. You can name a movie. I haven't seen it. I wonder if, going back to because it got the wheels turning on the overlay of the redo of the ride.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, odds are, I would say most of the people involved in that attraction at this point don't know the history behind those characters?
Most people have no clue.
So it's probably just as simple as Song of the South is a bad movie.
Yep.
Let's just pull out any reference to Song of the South anywhere.
That's exactly. They even took out the Zippity Doo-Dah song. Like, oh, you can't have that on the parade anymore.
Really?
I'm like, it's a great song. And I would say 95% of the people that don't like the movie have never seen it, and it's part of it. I'm going to blame Disney. It's their fault because they hide this movie. Unless you're in Asia, then they're happy to show it to you. But in America, they hide it. And so the myth that it's super racist just grows and grows and grows.
Yeah, I figure if it was just available, it'd be like if they hid the Black Cauldron, like you cannot watch the Black Cauldron. Everybody would be like, what's with this movie, huh?
Right? Exactly.
If it was just there, you'd be like, oh yeah, that's fine.
Because I remember watching it thinking, all right, I got a master's degree in African American history. I'm going to watch this thing. And I'm like, this isn't as bad. Like, I like Marx Brothers movies, and there's some scenes with African Americans that are just horrifically racist and embarrassing. Just the way they would make black performers act. Mm-hmm. Or if you've seen Gone with the Wind, the way the maid acts.
What was that specific kind of acting called? You were talking about it on the car ride back.
Mid-Atlantic. It's a mid-Atlantic accent.
Yeah.
But it was also relates to kind of minstrel shows.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. Where white people would put on blackface. But because 90% of people that lived in the North had never seen a black person before the Civil War. So their only experience of black culture was white people wearing blackface. And you're like, this must be how black people are.
Yeah.
And you wonder where racism comes from. And it was one of the most popular forms of entertainment in America for decades, were minstrel shows. Yeah. And now, rightfully, we look at it and we think that is so horrifically racist. Yeah. Which makes me happy that we can look back and go, yeah, that was bad. Let's move on from that and never do that again, which I think is as awesome as opposed to let's do more of that.
It's hard to learn from something if they won't show you what you need to learn from.
Yeah. And so Song of the South is not that bad. It makes me wonder about the parents that just let their kids wander off in post-Civil War South, just hang out in random shacks with old men and with Uncle Remus. But the animation is fun. The stories are fun. And, I think they got so terrified of it, they just kept it hidden, which made all the rumors worse. Yeah. Yeah. But I'm going to miss that part, but I'm looking forward to the Princess. I'm looking forward to the new Tiana's restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
forget the French market. We're going to have Tiana's restaurant
That's
with
right.
they better have some man catching beignets. That's all I better say.
Is
You haven't seen the movie.
I haven't seen the movie.
Give me some man catching beignets.
Is that a?
That's a phrase from the film.
It's a specific
you will. Yes.
kind of beignet that attracts primarily men.
Tiana makes beignets that are so good
That they catch
people
a
are
man?
addicted to them. Yes.
Oh,
And so our
okay.
friend's like, you got to make me some of the man catching beignets.
It's the Coke.
It is. Well, there's a light white powder sprinkled on them, so I can only assume.
Who could tell?
I've had them in New Orleans, and from what I've been told, once they fished me out of the river, I had a good time.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, we went over to Cafe Du Monde, right? Is the famous place in New Orleans.
Yep.
We did that on a little crawl one night, and the beignets are fantastic.
So good.
And that chicory coffee, good God. You don't drink coffee, do you?
I'm a good Mormon. I don't drink. I am not a Mormon. I cannot emphasize that enough. But I am not, I've only had coffee one time in my life, and it was at Disneyland.
You're crazy.
A manager bought me an iced coffee. Here, Dave, I bought this for you. It was an iced coffee. And I'm like, I have to drink this. And so I did. I'm like, well, I don't like the flavor of coffee. I drink tea.
Okay, I like tea.
Love tea.
Something in tea makes me feel like all the blood is being drained out of my body if I drink the wrong kind of tea.
That would be, yeah.
It's wild.
It's vampire tea is what you're drinking.
That's the problem. No, the coffee at Cafe Du Monde, fantastic.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's still the case because they're making downtown Disney look like any other strip mall in America.
Irvine 1980s.
God. Ralph Brennan's Jazz Kitchen, the little side place, has the beignets, but they
Those are
also
good.
will sell the same coffee that they have in New Orleans, and they even sell the canisters of it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know they sell the same beignet mix.
Mhm.
Yeah, those beignets at downtown Disney are fantastic.
Yes.
They're amazing. Yeah. Yeah. And no Coke on them, though.
I mean,
Unless you bring your own.
yeah.
We both smirked at the same
Pro
time.
tip.
Never wanted to try Coke.
No.
I don't need Coke.
Yeah, that's it. There's one thing you don't need: coffee or Coke.
Right? Exactly. Yeah, so that's my little rant.
It's going to be interesting. And that's an interesting point. And I wonder if they're going to even bother keeping those characters as a presence anywhere in the park.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because they're real history. It's like this is an authentic thing from African Americans, the way they survived the horrors of slavery.
Yeah.
And instead of explaining that to people, well, it's racist. All right, we'll just ignore. Here's a princess who turned into a frog.
Yeah.
Yeah, that represents African American history.
That's right.
We're all getting kissed by guys and turning into frogs.
And then there's the standard: you have changed something in Disneyland, and therefore you must die.
I don't care what it is. Anytime anything gets changed in Disneyland, people lose their minds.
It is. It's crazy.
There's an Instagram account I follow that doesn't have a lot of followers, and I don't know why. Boomer.disney.memes.
Well, here's your problem. That's not real catchy.
No, and they've only got they've got under 500 followers, but their memes are consistently hysterical.
Really?
Matter of fact, it says in big words, why do they always have to change stuff? I have high blood pressure. But their memes are consistently hysterical. And so I sent them a message. I'm like, I can't believe you don't have more followers, because whenever I repost their stuff, I get a ton of likes.
Boomer.disney.memes?
Yep.
I will follow
And
them today.
they are very funny, but a lot of it is, why are you changing stuff? And I thought, how horrible to run Disneyland. Oh, let's add this. Oh,
Right?
it's going to be this event where we hand out free $100 bills. Oh, people will get mad. Oh, there used to be a lemonade stand there when Walt was alive.
Right.
It's like, you can't be handing out $100 bills.
It's like people, like we've said before, have such an emotional attachment to the parks. They grow up in the parks.
Yes.
It'd be as though, like, somebody goes, oh yeah, your childhood home, we're ripping it out, we're putting it in a condo. You're like, oh my gosh, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
So I get on one hand that level of things, but on the second hand, Disney was insane about like just ripping shit out and putting new shit in.
Oh, exactly.
He was aggressive with it.
Yeah. He wanted to fix it up. Yeah. I think we've talked about that before. If Walt had lived 10, 15 more years, the park would be unrecognizable to us today.
Oh, yeah.
He would keep driving Roy crazy by spending more money and more money.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We should talk maybe in a future episode about Disney Forward. Their new plans they want to add a bunch of stuff to Disneyland.
Oh yeah, let's
And
cover
they're
that.
having a series of meetings around the city of Anaheim to explain what they want to do.
Stay tuned. We'll do a deep dive into Disney Forward.
Yeah.
On a future episode.
And the rumor is that Governor Gavin Newsom is going to be very pro Disney and help them with
'cause of
Anaheim,
Florida.
just to stick it to Florida to be like, hey, we're going to treat our companies nice.
That's a win. That's a win for me.
It is, right? Yeah. And I wanted to put this on the podcast. I want to thank you, Mr. Trevor Kelly, for coming with me to Arizona Tiki Oasis and for your help me sell all the books. I just got to sit there and sign, and he was taking all the money and doing all the things. And thank you, I appreciate it.
Happy to do it. It was a good old time.
Very
and
kind.
good God, I don't know if you saw the video. Dave had a line that wrapped around the resort to get into his talk.
Yeah, thanks to our new friend Nikki
That's
and
right.
Dor, who took that video. I think it was Nikki who took the video that went out there. Yeah, she was kind of to send that to me because I just see an empty room and there's nobody out in the lobby.
There was a minute where I had a slight panic. It was like a couple minutes before the show was supposed to start.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. There was nobody in there.
There was
and I'm like,
literally no one in there except us.
and I was just mainly worried. I'm like, all right, how do I give Dave a pep talk after this if nobody shows up?
They'd already paid me, so I was fine.
Oh, okay.
And I was calm because like half hour earlier, Baby Doe, the wonderful woman who runs the Tiki Oasis Empire, her and her husband, she walked in and goes, no. We're going to leave 2 more rows of chairs in here.
Oh, that's true.
And instantly like started having people bring in more chairs.
Yeah.
I'm like, she must see a line. Like I'm not allowed to leave the building. Like,
That's true.
and it was standing room only.
It was wild to watch that because the room was set up for the bartending thing.
Yeah.
When we got there, and Baby Doe walks in and goes, "Nope," and then within like 20 minutes, the entire room had changed.
Yeah.
It was crazy how fast they moved.
They moved really fast. Yeah, she knows what she's doing. Yeah.
That was a good old time and a great talk.
Thank you. I had fun.
It was like the Oscars of Tiki in that talk. You had some high level guests.
I don't get really nervous. I was really excited and pumped. I'm like, oh, this will be so fun. And then Shag walked in with Otto, the other person who runs Tiki Oasis. They sat down together and I'm like, oh, crap.
Got to be good now.
like the most expensive piece of art I've ever bought was a Shag painting that's hanging in my house. And I'm like, he's in my talk.
And to be fair, it's hard to miss Shag because he gets carried in on a gold tiki throne.
He does.
Carried by white tigers. A lot of people don't know that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they lower him down.
Yep. And the structure is made out of the bones of lesser tiki artists who he has killed and consumed.
We won't name them.
We won't, but we know who
some
they
are
are.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, but it was a great time. Thank you for coming. And we hit. And let's just say this because we are. People talked about how Disney won't like hire us or give us free things because we're not pro Disney enough. But we'll shill. But we're not shilling because we mean it. We had a great time. We went to Waffle House twice.
Ooh.
It was a thin slice of heaven.
That was great. Again, weird going to Waffle House during the daylight, sober, but still a good time.
Yeah.
I was so tired. I was so tired and so ready to get the hell out of that state by the last day that it was hard to enjoy Waffle House, and I couldn't even speak. Like our waitress was so nice, and I was just trying to pay, and I have this American Express Gold card, which looks fancy, and I'm not a fancy person.
He's a fancy boy.
Not a fancy boy.
Such a fancy boy.
But I hand her the credit card, and it's got a little weight to it.
It does.
And so people think
It's made out of solid gold.
Yeah, that's right. It's a soft metal, so I have to get a new card every couple of swipes. But
It's good for 3 swipes.
that's right.
Please use the tap feature.
But I'm not fancy. She goes, "Oh, this is a real heavy credit card." And normally I'd have like a little like witty thing. All I could do is go, like, yeah.
Yeah, we were tired. We'd been working. We were doing a lot of stuff and drinking in the heat. And riding in dangerous Ubers
That's right.
or a robot car
I'll take a robot car any day.
any day.
In fact, if I can hire the robot car to slam into other Ubers and take them off the road, I'll pay extra.
So be it.
Yeah.
It's a feature where you just hit that car.
That's right. Kill.
Give it a little bump. Yeah. Maybe it's got a laser. Just kind of shoots the tire
There we
out.
go.
They just got to pull over. Nobody's hurt. They get a flat tire. They got to pull over.
I'm on board with this.
Yeah.
Although it's a robot car, and it's Arizona, so we could just shoot tires out
That
of
is
cars
true.
to get them out of our way.
I noticed there were just pistols in the back seat. Like, use these if you like. Welcome to Arizona. You can't leave your hotel room and walk down the hall with a beer because they will scream at you. But if you got a gun, just fire a couple shots in the air and
That's
you're
right.
fine. Way ready to go.
I found it odd when you leave the state, they make you shoot a box of fruit. They hand you a pistol at that thing.
Exactly.
You have to shoot a mango to get
shoot
out of
a
that
mango.
state.
So in California, do you have any fruit? You're like, no, I just shot it at the border. These two states, they got it. They got the sexual tension between Arizona and California is palpable right there.
Now for the most dangerous part of our show, the return to civilization. If you've enjoyed the show, make sure to follow the lads on Instagram at the Trevor Kelly and at Dr. Skipper Marley. Also, if you could be so kind as to rate and review our show, that would be fantastic. See you hip skips next time in The Jungle.